Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the source material on the film Edge of Tomorrow, the one based on All You Need Is Kill. Gives us this really intense scenario, Earth invaded by these hyper-organized aliens, the Mimics. And right in the thick of it is Major William Cage, a soldier, well, sort of becomes a soldier, stuck in this time loop. Every time he dies, boom, he wakes up. Same day, same brutal combat. So we've looked at sources digging into these aliens, this whole idea of freedom inside the loop, and the military structure itself. What does it all tell us about, like, survival, learning, warfare? Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When you look at the sources on the Mimics, they're really not your standard movie aliens, are they? They're described as just lethal, super fast, tentacled, kind of like giant squid things, or maybe weird insects. Their biology is, well, alien.
Right, not just physically scary, but there's something fundamentally different. And that difference, the sources really point to this, it's about time.
Exactly. The sources focus on these units, the alphas. If you kill an alpha, wham, the day resets. Time loop triggered. But the real control center, the collective brain, is the omega. It processes everything. It knows when an alpha resets. So the Mimics learn instantly from everything we do.
Instantly.
Yeah. So your standard military tactics, forget it. They adapt before you even finish the move.
That's chilling. Yeah, that's chilling. The whole reset and reconfigure thing, you can see why some sources read it symbolically, right? Maybe like anxieties about, I don't know, pandemics or other global threats that just seem to adapt faster than we can react.
It's not just brute force. It's an enemy weaponizing information, weaponizing time itself.
Which leads us right back to Cage. He kills an alpha, gets splashed with its blood or whatever.
It inherits the ability. He's in the loop. Die, reset, remember, repeat.
And here's where the sources get really interesting about freedom. It seems totally deterministic, right? Same day, same start. But paradoxically, the sources argue it gives Cage this weird kind of progressive freedom.
Progressive freedom, I like that. Each death isn't just an end, it's intel. He learns the battlefield, enemy patterns, even how his own squad mates react second by second.
So he starts making different choices, expanding his options, his room to maneuver within that single repeating day.
Yeah, he goes from basically a terrified PR guy forced into armor to this incredibly effective soldier through sheer repetition and learning.
And Rita Vertasky, Surge of Tasky, is key here. She'd have the loop ability before him.
She guides him. She makes him understand the loop isn't just practice for his survival. It's a tool, a way to gather intel, to find the omega, the actual brain, to end the war.
Which definitely raises that question the sources touch on. Yeah. What's the cost? For him, for Rita, for everyone, this freedom gained through dying over and over.
You're thinking about the everyone, the collective. The sources also look hard at the military. It's shown as this very rigid, very hierarchical machine, you know?
Totally. Cage starts outside it, gets forced in, punished for trying to bail. It really emphasizes how little individual agency there is in that structure initially.
And you see that clash, don't you, between the high command, like Lieutenant Colonel Brigham, who is initially just clueless about the resets, and the people actually fighting. The trench view, the big plan, Operation Tanger, utterly useless because the Mimics just hit reset.
So Cage and Rita, they have to operate almost rogue, don't they? Outside the normal chain of command because their ability demands it.
Their whole method has to be trial and error, experimentation. It completely flies in the face of standard military doctrine.
Which is a really interesting ambiguity the sources highlight. You need the military, the organization.
Of course, for the scale of the fight.
But its rigidity is also a massive weakness against an enemy like this, an enemy that adapts instantly.
And that theme of sacrifice runs deep, particularly with Rita. The sources point out the immense personal cost required for the collective fight.
So this deep dive, looking at the sources on Edge of Tomorrow, it's definitely more than just a cool sci-fi flick. It's really about adaptation, isn't it? Learning from failure, finding freedom within constraints. That tension between the system and the individual need to adapt.
Yeah, the time loop becomes this powerful metaphor. How do you tackle something that seems impossible, that learns from your every move? Well, through relentless effort, through knowledge gained the hard way, failure by failure.
It almost challenges you, doesn't it? Makes you wonder if tackling really complex problems sometimes means stepping outside the usual rules, embracing failure as just part of the process towards figuring it out.
Towards that earned freedom, earned victory.
So, something to think about, maybe for you listening. Where might you be hitting the same wall? And could embracing that fail, learn, adapt cycle, even if it's uncomfortable, actually be the way to find a new path forward?